Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my Smog and Misty Mountains mug. So today's video is going to be my anticipated releases for the last part of the year. So it's going to be for October, November, and December. So the first one I'm pumped about coming out in October is Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. If you've been around here for a while, you know that I love Stephanie Garber. She's one of my favorite authors ever. My favorite YA series. I love her work. And this is something new. So she's writing outside of the Caraval universe, which is really interesting because I love Caraval so much. The last thing we got from her was a little holiday novella, and now this is her first adult debut in like a totally different world. So I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know if I said, but this comes out October 7th. And kind of from what I know about it, it's very magical. Like there's magic involved, but it's kind of like a dark academia maybe vibe with a haunted theater. It says, the hotly anticipated adult debut novel by the beloved Stephanie Garber, a contemporary fantasy kicking off a brand new series. It starts with a class in an old movie theater, Folklore 517, local legends and urban myths, taught by a woman called the Professor. Most students believe the professor's stories are just fiction, but Holland St. James has always been convinced that magic is real. When she tracks down a local legend named the Watchman, who can supposedly tell you when you'll die, the world finally makes sense. Except that the Watchman tells her she will die at midnight tomorrow unless she finds an ancient object called the alchemical heart. With the clock ticking, Holland is pulled deeper into this magical world in the heart of Los Angeles and into the path of a magnetic stranger. Everything about him feels like a bad idea, but he promises Holland that her sister sent him to protect her. As they chase clues and stories that take them closer to the alchemical heart, Holland realizes everyone in this intoxicating new world is lying to her. Even this stranger. And if she can't figure out whom to trust, not even the alchemical heart will save her. I can't wait. I love the mystery element. I love the urgency of like needing to get this solved in a very short amount of time. I really liked that about the first Caraval, about like she needs to find her sister. Clock is ticking. She has to win the game. I like that, so I'm excited to see how this plays out in an adult setting, in a contemporary fantasy way. Stephanie Garber is very whimsical, so I'm curious to see her writing in contemporary, but I can't wait. And then also coming out October 7th is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is book 2 in the Bride series. I didn't know this was going to be a series at all when I read the first one, but I ended up really, really liking the first one. So I'm very curious to pick this one up as well. In this one, you're following a human hybrid and an alpha where they claw against the bonds of fate in the highly anticipated companion novel. Serena Paris is orphaned, packless, and one of a kind. Coming forward as the first human-were hybrid, was supposed to heal a centuries-long rift between species. Instead, it made her target, prey to the ruthless political machinations between wares, vampires, and humans. With her enemies closing in on her, she only has one option left, if he'll have her. As alpha of the Northwest Pack, Cohen Alexander commands obedience. His authority is so absolute, only a fool would threaten his mate. It doesn't matter if Serena doesn't reciprocate his feelings, nothing will stop him from keeping her safe. But power-hungry vampires and wares are not the only threats chasing Serena. Sooner or later, her past is bound to catch up with her, and Cohen might be the only thing standing between her and total annihilation. I'm mostly in this because I've enjoyed almost everything I've read from Ali Hazelwood so far, and I really liked the first book, Bride, so gunning for that one. Then this one, I was kind of anticipating, but I don't usually anticipate from this author, and that is Savage Blooms by S.T. Gibson. This is book 1 in the Unearthly Delight series. This comes out October 9th, potentially. And it says, Adam has been in love with his best friend Nicola since college, but the closest he can come to admitting his feelings is inviting her to travel with him to Scotland in search of a legendary cave from his grandfather's bedtime stories. When a storm washes out the road, Adam and Nicola find themselves at the mercy of Eileen, an eccentric aristocrat, and Finley, her brooding groundskeeper. The Americans quickly get more than they bargained for as they become entangled in Eileen and Finley's world of mind games, kink, and ancient enchantment. I really don't know what this is about, and maybe that's not a good sign for me going into it. But it sounds kind of mysterious, and I like that it's set in Scotland. I may give this a shot, but it's on my radar. I'm anticipating it, okay? And then one I've been anticipating for a while. This was supposed to come out originally in like July or something, but they pushed the release date back. But now it's October 14th. And it's The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. I am very excited about this. This is kind of pitched as a Legally Blonde fantasy book. So she's a princess and she enrolls in like the Royal Academy to be a knight. I love it. It says, a princess desperate to win back the prince who broke her heart follows him to his kingdom's prestigious military academy, and in doing so, falls in love, saves the realm, and continues to look fabulous. This delightful debut fantasy. So essentially, she's kind of jilted. This man that she's in love with refuses to propose, and she's heartbroken but determined, so she develops this plan to enroll in this academy. She can show, like, she's strong, she can protect the kingdom. The warrior is trying to train her, but he thinks she's ridiculous, like sauntering in like she's coming to a ball. So he ends up training her. A very real war is looming on the horizon. The fight will threaten their kingdoms and their hearts. I'm very excited for this. The fact that it was like Legally Blonde, but fairy tale-esque and medieval, and a princess trying to become a knight, I was sold. So I can't wait for this. And then the last book I'm going to talk about in October is Never Ever After by Su Lin Tan. This is book 1 in the Never Ever After series, and it comes out October 28th. Defy the fairy tale and seize your fate. Not all fairy tales end happily ever after in this Cinderella-inspired fantasy by the best-selling author of Daughter of the Moon Goddess. For fans of Renee Ahdieh, Tahira Mafi, and Stephanie Garber, this sweeping fantasy romance inspired by Cinderella and the Chinese fairy tale is the first in a breathtaking new series. I like that it's compared to Cinderella. That's interesting. That's kind of all I'm going to say about this, but it does sound really interesting and good, and I haven't read Su Lin Tan's works yet, but I do want to. And the title's also kind of catching my attention. Then we get to November, and on November 4th, The House Sapphire by Marissa Meyer is coming out, and I really enjoyed Marissa Meyer. I've read so much of her works, almost all of her works, and really enjoyed them, and this is an adult debut, I think. It may not be, but I thought it was. But it still sounds super interesting. This is another retelling. This is the tale of Bluebeard as it's never been told before. A thrilling romantasy and murder mystery. Mallory Fontaine is a fraud. Though she comes from a long line of witches, the only magic she possesses is the ability to see ghosts, which is rarely as useful as one would think. She and her sister have maintained the family business, eking out a paltry living by selling bogus spells to gullible buyers and conducting tours of the infamous mansion where the first of the Zephyr murders took place. Mallory is a self-proclaimed expert on Count Bastien Sapphire, otherwise known as Monsieur Le Bleu, who brutally killed 3 of his wives more than a century ago. But she never expected to meet Bastien's great-great-grandson and the heir to the Sapphire estate. Armand is handsome, wealthy, and convinced that Fontaine sisters are as talented as they claim. The perfect mark. When he offers Mallory a large sum of money to rid his ancestral home of Le Bleu's ghost, she can't resist. A paid vacation at Armand's country manor is practically a dream come true. Never mind the ghosts of murdered wives and the monsters that are as common as household pets. But when murder again comes to the House Sapphire, Mallory finds herself at the center of the investigation, and she is almost certain the killer is mortal. If she has any hope of cashing in on the payment which she was promised, she'll have to solve the murder and banish the ghosts, all while upholding the illusion of witchcraft. But that all sounds relatively easy compared to her biggest learning to trust her heart, especially when the person her heart wants the most might be the murderer himself. I'm just excited. Bluebeard retelling and murder mystery. Sign me up. And then also on November 4th, we have 7 Deadly Thorns by Amber Hamilton. The cruel prince meets powerless in this dark academia romantasy that will tattoo itself onto your heart. Her worst enemy, his only chance. Be swept away by this sizzling, irresistible enemies to lovers romance with magic more destructive than your nightmares. What? In the Cursed Kingdom, the punishment for magic is death. Even the students at the academy aren't spared. When Viola Sinclair's deadly shadow magic is discovered, the queen gives her assassin a new assignment and a new cursed tattoo. A 7-thorn rose on his arm for the 7 days he has to hunt Viola down and kill her. If he doesn't, he will be the one to die. The assassin is Roz, entitled prince, arrogant fellow student, and the one person Viola hates more than anyone. Roz should revel in the chance to end her life, but he desperately needs something from Viola and her magic. And he's willing to spare her life and fake their engagement to get it. Forced to work together, Viola and Roz must contend with deadly threats, dangerous secrets, and an impossible attraction. Sounds so fun. Never read anything by that author, but very curious. I'm sure they have other works out, but I don't know them. And then all of the other 3 are coming out on November 18th, which is interesting. Must be a popular day. One is the highly anticipated sequel to Quicksilver, the Fae and Alchemy series, Brimstone. I am so excited to continue this because I read Quicksilver at the beginning of the year and can't wait to see what happens. Can't tell you about that one, but Quicksilver is Fae and Alchemy series. there is this magic Quicksilver that you can portal into other worlds, and the main character gets portaled into another world for a lot of reasons and is saved by this mysterious fae warrior, and a lot of stuff happens after that. Just read it. And also on the 18th, like I said, Violet Thistlethwaite is Not a Villain Anymore by Emily Krempholtz. This sounds so cute. Every thorn has its roses. Oh my gosh. I'm very excited about this one. It says, a powerful plant witch and a grumpy alchemist must work together to save their quiet town from a magical plague in this debut cozy fantasy romance about starting over, redemption, and what it really means to be a good person. Guy Shadowfade is dead, and after a lifetime as the dark sorcerer's right hand, Violet Thistlethwaite is determined to start over. Not as the fearsome thorn witch, but as someone kind, someone better, someone good. The quaint town of Dragon's Rest, Violet decides, will be her second chance. She'll set down roots, open a flower shop, keep her sentient, mildly homicidal houseplant in check, and prune dark magic from the twisted bowels of her life. Violet's vibrant bouquets and cheerful enchantments soon charm the welcoming townsfolk. Though nothing seems to impress the prickly yet dashing handsome Nathaniel Marsh, an alchemist sharing her greenhouse. With a struggling business and his own second chance seemingly out of reach, Nathaniel has no time for flowers or frippery, and certainly none for intriguing witch next door. When a mysterious blight threatens every living plant in Dragon's Rest, Violet and Nathaniel must work together through fears past growing feelings for one another to save their community. But with a figure from the past comes knocking at the door and her secrets are threatening to unroot everything she has worked so hard to grow, Violet can't help but wonder, does a former villain truly deserve a happily ever after? If you could pick a cozy fantasy book that is tailored to me, it might be this. A villain does maybe changing their ways. Alchemy, plants, plant magic, a homicidal houseplant. It's called Dragon's Rest also, and there's a dragon on the book, so if there's not a dragon in this book, well, I'll have words with the author. So all of that together, fantastic. Can't wait. And then on the 18th as well, Secret Nights and Northern Lights by Megan Oliver is coming out, and this sounds so cute. It's also set in Iceland, which is why I'm so excited about it. It says, childhood best friends and first lovers are reunited on a make-or-break work trip to Iceland. With old feelings coming to the surface in this charming romance debut, honestly, all I need to know about this book to read it. I just knew it was set in Iceland. The cover's beautiful. The main character jumps at an international assignment to Iceland. She works for a magazine, a travel magazine, so she jumps at this international trip. Even though she's woefully unprepared, she's determined to prove her worth. And the photographer paired with her is none other than Benjamin Carter, Ben, her childhood best friend who understood her even when her family didn't, Ben, her first love, first everything, and Ben, the boy who ghosted her 14 years ago and left her brokenhearted. I am so excited to read this book in Iceland. Like, it's set in Iceland. And then we get to December, which I only have one anticipated release for December, but it's a good one. It's The City of Phantom Book 2, The Rebel and the Rose, the first one being The Dagger and the Flame. I read that this year and really, really liked it, really loved it. And Book 2 is coming out in December. I can't wait. It's coming out December 2nd. I tell you about this one, but the first one is really interesting. It's following the Cloaks and the Daggers. The Cloaks are thieves, and they have this like magic that can make you hide in shadows, all kinds of really cool magic system stuff. And then the Daggers use this other very, very sinister, very dark magic to be able to be stronger, faster, move in the shadows, and they are assassins. And the book is so good. The story was so good. It's one of those books where when you get to there's like 100 pages left and things seem to be wrapped up and you're like, no, it's one of those kinds of books. So looking forward to book 2. Is this the last one? Let's see if it says. It says the second book, but it doesn't say like the second and the last. So who will see how this continues? I'm scared. I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt. But I'm also very much looking forward to this one. Well, those are the rest of the anticipated releases for 2025. I would love to know if there's any books you're still anticipating that haven't come out yet, or if you're just here for the vibes, give me a ghost emoji. But that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.